These days, whenever you buy a magazine, they're so full of promotional leaflets, it's tempting to shake them out over a bin before you start. These two fell out recently, and they're a great example of what works and what doesn't work. Just like the mail shots I showed you in a previous video, you have fractions of a second to grab someone's attention. Now this one works, and this one doesn't. You can tell just by looking at it, but let me explain why. It's to do with our brains. Now, our brains are about 4% of our body, but they consume 20% of our energy, and it copes with that workload by making some shortcuts and doing some work behind the scenes that we're not aware of. Now, mankind has been around in our present physical form for hundreds of thousands of years. We've been evolving socially and economically to where we are today, but physically we haven't changed very much. Now, back in primitive times, life was incredibly dangerous. We had to avoid things that might kill us and find things like food and shelter that will keep us alive. Our brains were working overtime to do that. So one of the shortcuts our brains developed, and still has, is to ignore things that appear normal or similar and focus on the things that are different. That's why we notice movement when everything else is static, contrasting colours, shapes and sizes, because our brain is still on permanent alert for food or danger. Also, we process information in images 60,000 times faster than text, because our brain's been refining how to do that for hundreds of thousands of years, whereas text is a relatively recent development. And that's why this leaflet works. It's selling a suit maker. Clear starting point, bold image, clear message. Obvious contrast of image, text and background, and no distraction. Your eye is drawn to the key message and the call to action. You know what it's about in one glance, compared to this. Now, nothing stands out. Your eye flitters about wondering where to start reading, and it's confusing. There are competing boxes, multiple calls to action, obscure imagery and unnecessary content. This could be a really good offer, but it's hard to tell. It's medical assurance, by the way. So whatever the medium, whether it's a leaflet, an advert, a web page or a PowerPoint slide, if you want to get your message across instantly, make use of images, contrast and simplicity. It's not just good business practice, it's the way our brains work. If you want to find out more, have a look at our online course, How to Read Your Customer's Mind. A touchscreen suit maker, who'd have thought? What are we having for lunch?